Christmas.
Happy New
Yeah,
Year.
yeah. Happy New Year's, guys.
All right,
Can you walk us through kind of what you did with the players, with schedule-wise, of guys were off and came back, and how you sort of managed that the last few days?
Yeah, I mean, we played on, what was it, last Monday against East Carolina, and then, we had 4 days off, and then we came back, and this will be our third practice in preparation for Florida State tomorrow.
Hubert, you mentioned that you're happy with the start that you guys have had, but you're not satisfied. In your mind, what's sort of the next step that this team can make to continue its progression this season?
Well, I mean, I think a number of things on both ends of the floor. I mean, from a defensive standpoint, just better at defending without fouling, better at keeping teams out of the paint, better at boxing out, not allowing second chance opportunities, trying to find ways to create more turnovers. That's something that we haven't done a very good job of defensively. Offensively, my hope is that we'll shoot the ball better from three, also from the free throw line. Just better execution, the little details, setting screens, being in the right spots, taking care of the basketball, which we've done a really good job of late, but just continuing to grow and be consistent at those little things that I think make big things happen.
Seth was asked last Monday night after the game, sort of give a scouting report of your defense, of what a couple of things he thought could be better. And the first thing he went to was finishing on, because you guys have given up a couple of late shots at the end of.
Yeah.
He said sometimes guys would leak out. How close are you guys to getting to the point where you think you are finishing? Because he said it doesn't happen that often. And going back to the satisfied, I know you're not never satisfied, but how close are you to being satisfied with how the guys are finishing possessions defensively?
I think that's huge for us because that leads to our efficiency on the offensive end and allows us to get out in transition, and finishing the defense is something that we talk about at great length, whatever it takes. A lot of times teams have slowed down their approach offensively, and we've had to play defense a majority of the shot clock. And one of the things that we talk about in the huddle all the time is whatever it takes, whether it's 5, 15, 30 seconds, whatever it takes to get a defensive stop. And so I always tell them it's not a Caleb and Henry and a Jaren rebounding game. It's a UNC rebounding game, and that goes to the part of being able to finish and understand, like, our guards, we've got good positional size, and our guards consistently need to get, 5, 6 rebounds to be able to help out. And if we can start finishing our possessions, I think it'll also take us to a different level defensively.
This thing on Seth real fast, he didn't switch much when he was on Peterson, same thing with Bruce Thornton. How much flexibility does it give you and Seth there that you don't have to switch as often?
Huge.
You can switch certain parts and not other parts?
Huge, and that's what we'll do the remainder of the year. I mean, depending who we play, actions that they run, personnel, we have the flexibility to be able to switch, not switch, keep guys on certain guys, and obviously one of the many gifts that Seth has is, his ability to defend, and we always want him on opponents' best players, and so it allows us to be able to put our best defenders on their best offensive players.
It appears that Florida State plays kind of like the Alabama style, lots of threes, lots of drives. What are the challenges that a team like that, and particularly how Florida State implements this, bring to your defense?
Yeah, I mean, they put a lot of pressure on you. They play at tremendous pace. I mean, I think their average possession is around 14, 15 seconds. They shoot, an average of 36 threes, which is second in the country. And so they got a number of guys that not only can take shots, but can get hot and hit multiple shots from three. But they also, have the athleticism to be able, they may not take a lot of mid-range jump shots, but they do get points in the paint off of their penetration, whether it's in transition or a half court. So it's important for us to protect the paint, but also put us in a position where we can contest and be able to finish the possessions off those three-point shots. But they put a lot of pressure on you offensively, spacing-wise, and it'll be a challenge for us defensively.
So on the note of, defending without fouling, I think it was at your last Coach's Radio show when Henry was there talking about how much he's worked on that because he played, very limited minutes at Arizona State.
Yeah, he struggled with with foul trouble at Arizona,
Yeah.
but he's done a pretty good job of it here.
Yeah, I'm curious just, and he talked a lot about like working specifically with Coach May on that, but how maybe you've worked with him to coach him on that, and how do you coach somebody like that into, you know, okay, you're gonna have to be playing more minutes, and we need you to stay in the game, so how he can kind of defend better without fouling.
Well, I think that's something, a growth that has been for Henry, is just his awareness of being in the right positions and putting him in a situation where he can block shots and alter shots and use his length to help us defensively. And I believe his length and Caleb's length and Jaron and our length has really helped our defense, but also the importance for him to be on the floor and not be on the bench. And so he's done a nice job of getting after it defensively and really protecting the basket for us, but he's also done a really good job of staying out of foul trouble and allowing himself to stay on the floor as much as he has.
Hubert, let me turn the Florida State question around and ask about their defense, because when Leonard was there, it didn't seem to matter what year it was, they were always long and physical and make teams feel uncomfortable. How does this year's group compare to some of those other teams that you've faced?
Yeah, I mean, they've got great positional size, athleticism. They can do a number of things defensively. You know, we expect to see everything, you know, man zone, full court press, three-quarter court press, traps out of the press, different types of defenses, out of bounds underneath, man or zone, going back into a man or zone, zone side out of bounds, and what they do is a really good job of, you know, creating chaos and getting deflections and steals. One of the things I always tell the team is never let a defense dictate and decide how efficient we play on the offensive end. And so for us, irregardless of what Florida State does, which they do a terrific job of, being able to stay within our principles and being able to execute and just hit singles.
When Will Shaver came in here a handful of seasons ago in January, you kind of spoke to how tricky it kind of is to work somebody into the rotation in the middle of the season. And now this season, with the current landscape, you see schools like Baylor and Illinois and BYU bringing in these guys from the professional ranks. I was just kind of curious your thoughts on that whole situation. Is it something that you guys would be interested in doing?
Well, first of all, I just think it would be negligent on my part to comment on other programs and decisions that they make, and also it would be negligent for me to comment on something that I have limited information about. I know that we have 16 guys in the locker room and 16 guys that are devoted to this team and to this program, and just it's been a blessing. I'm just really excited about coaching this team the remainder of the season.
How different is what you're asking Kyan to do from what he was asked to do at Colorado State? And what are some of the areas of progress he's made that the common person isn't going to see?
Yeah, I mean, he's been elite for us in regards to distributing the basketball, especially in transition. Obviously with, you know, Seth back in the lineup, you know, that the pitch aheads in transition, even after a made basket, allows us to play in primary break and be able to get layups and dunks and deep post catch, and Kyan does a really good job of that. I think in regards to running the team, he's done a really nice job, but it is different in regards to having the ball in his hands a little bit more. I think one of the things for him is also moving him off the ball and using his ability to shoot the basketball, make plays coming off of flares, wide pins, being able to mix that up for him will put him even more in a better situation to be successful and consistent on the offensive end.
And stay on him, how has he done defensively, and how do you think he does dealing with ball screens and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for us, there are times where, you know, we're switching, and, you know, our guards have to guard bigs, and our bigs have to guard guards out on the perimeter. I think he's done a nice job continuing to grow, because it's a different type of defensive philosophy here in regards to how we play. And I think the thing, like we mentioned and talked about Henry, is just an awareness of doing a better job of not fouling. For him, for Kyan, just being able to play defense without fouling, because there's been a number of games where he's been in foul trouble where it's the first or second half and he's had to come out and go to the bench.
I believe this is the best start that you've had as a coach here at UNC. I'm just curious, does that affect at all, or how does that affect how you kind of approach
the ACC slate, just as a coach, knowing what you have here through December?
Yeah, I mean, nothing changes. Every year you're just always looking for ways to get better and ways to improve. I don't focus on the record, don't focus on the destination. For me, it's always been having a clear focus on the preparation, the practice, the journey, and just the growth of this team. And so heading into ACC season, and this is the first time that we've had just 18 games in a regular season as opposed to 20, and just the importance of, even more so, of every game in this conference. And I've been a part of this conference as a player, assistant coach, as a head coach, and been a big fan even before I was a player. And so just really excited to start this conference season this week.
Is there anything you have to do when you have a freshman that you've leaned on a lot too in Caleb Wilson? Because that's not something that comes along every year where a freshman is that key. You have to manage, just kind of his trajectory or his workload, or just kind of managing him since this is his first experience in college?
No, not at all. I mean, he has a good and a healthy dose of his preparation. That's, not just the stuff that he does during practice, but pre-practice, post-practice, film work. I've said this before. You can't get a better freshman 5-star that is a 5-star player, a 5-star teammate, and a 5-star person. And in the 13 games that we've played, he's seen a lot, and he'll see even more. And I know that he's excited for the challenge of the remainder of the season as well.
Hubert, how have you addressed the free throw shooting?
That's hard. Other than make them. It's hard, obviously, one of the things that we've done is, put that in practice, specific time, working on free throws. And when I mean working on free throws, just continuing to stay consistent in terms of your free throw shooting routine, being confident, rhythm, and that's pretty much it. During the season, it's tricky to talk about not just free throw shooting, but your shot. And the reason why I say that is, for myself, when I played, I didn't want anyone talking to me about my shot, whether it was going in or wasn't going in. Let me figure it out. I don't need 50,000 voices telling me elbow in, take a deep breath, bend your knees, because that's the last thing that you need to do during the game. You got to play fast and free and be able to react. And so it's something that we've talked about, but it's not something that we've focused on, just to get our guys confident that when we get to the free throw line, we can be a team that consistently makes them.
And how's the juice been since y'all been back? Some of these teams come back from the extended breaks and have to get going a little bit. What was that first practice like, getting back, and then the last few days?
No, I mean, I'm juiced up, so I mean, they better be juiced up too, But it was. I mean, I always believe this. I think there are times where the best thing for you is to take a deep breath and to get away. And I felt like the little bit of time away with family and friends was something that was needed from this group. And the freshness of coming back is, being recharged and excited about the process and the chance of just continuing the things that we've done in the first 13 games and seeing how good we can become.
I was going to ask, I don't think you ever lapped with Luke Louds when he was at Florida State. I think the year before you came was the year they beat Carolina in the ACC tournament, and then you became an assistant the next year.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And then he was in the NBA, obviously. Had you crossed paths much with him? He's, fairly young coach, kind of on the rise, but I don't know what kind of overlap you would have before he was named head coach.
Not much overlap. I mean, I saw him play when I was with ESPN. We did, College Game Day and, Tallahassee and, different stuff like that. But I've had some brief conversations with him while we've been out recruiting. And obviously he's a really great coach, but I've really enjoyed getting to know him. I think he's a really, really good person.
I guess of kind of in-season tinkering with someone's shot. Obviously, Seth's three-point shot is something that you just worked on a lot in the offseason.
Yeah.
Talked about working with Henry on that. But he said also, I think, in some of the time that he took off rehabbing from this injury, he was working with some of the assistant coaches like Coach Page to kind of work on his shot and some of the mechanics. just want to see if you can kind of speak to any of the adjustments that he made, the work that he put in, and maybe how you've seen it pay off so far.
Yeah, I'm just, in regards to any type of shot, whether it's free throws or threes, I'm big on consistency. So many people have set rules. Like one of the rules is you never should watch the flight of the ball. I did that my whole career. And if you go to any camp, they were like, you can't do that. Every time the ball left my hand, I looked straight up and looked at the ball. And so, for me, the biggest thing is consistency. Obviously, there's fundamental habits in order to be a consistent good shooter. Seth has that, and just the consistency to do it, whether it's a catch and shoot off the dribble, different situations coming off screens, and Seth has always been good at that. He's doing a terrific job of that this year.
The three-point shooting as a whole, I know you've said a lot these past few games. It's, you're really excited for the time to come when you guys are shooting like that you can shoot from beyond the perimeter.
Yeah.
Just how satisfied are you to this point with the three-point shooting? I guess specifically like the looks that you guys are getting.
Yeah, I feel like our looks are getting better. In regards to percentages, I think there's a number of factors. It could be something technical, whether it's, elbow in or not getting your feet set, not being balanced, going straight up and down. But I also think a huge part of it is shot selection. It doesn't matter if you're a really, really great shooter. If you're not shooting good shots, it's not going to go in. And so just our growth in understanding what a good shot is compared to a great shot, and being able to be stubborn and persistent to be able to get those type of shots on every possession, I think will go a long way in regards to our percentages getting higher.
Time for two more of our.
Just a really quick follow-up on that. Sorry, just on you said like the shot selection, you feel like it's been getting better. Can you just like break down for every year specifically like what you mean by that?
Yeah, like open shot. Even if I can get off a shot, man, there's Caleb and Henry right down underneath the basket, or man, I have a good shot, but if I make one more pass to Kirsch, he has an even more open shot, and just time and score, just different stuff like that. And just having an understanding, because I think we're talented enough to get a great shot every possession, whether we're in transition, half court, out of bounds, underneath, side, whatever it is. And so just continuing the process of understanding and teaching them. I think that's something that this generation hasn't been taught a lot about it. I remember here at Carolina, you had a color. You were either a red, a yellow, or a green. A red, you couldn't shoot a three at all, only a layup or a dunk. A yellow was you could shoot a three, an open three, but it had to touch the paint through post or penetration. And then a green light is coach trusted you enough that you would take good shots so you could shoot a three anytime that you wanted. So when I was here at Carolina, my freshman year, I was red, then I went to yellow, and then it was a light green, and then latter part of junior year, senior year, it was like double green, late green. So it was good. It was good.
If you throw it to me, I'm throwing it right back. I can assure you of that.
No,
You're open. I'm throwing the ball.
I'm pretty sure Coach Smith would prefer you to shoot it.
So last Monday, Caleb had 4 turnovers in the first half. He told us at halftime, Sean showed him something on the iPad about what EC was doing.
Yeah.
He adjusted, no turnovers in the second half.
Yeah.
Are you guys using iPads like at halftime
Yes.
and stuff more and more now?
Yeah, we are. We are. One, I think it's important to use it. One of the things, when I was in the NBA, there were a lot of coaches that we used to watch film at halftime. So at the beginning of the year, I talked to the staff and said, this is something that I want to use because I think it can help. I'm a visual learner, and I think a lot of our guys are, and if they see it, I think they can process it better than just telling them that. And so being able to have that technology and being able to show that to them, even on the bench. You talked about the turnovers. A lot of them were coming off of double teams of East Carolina, and they were coming from the backsides. First time all year, most of the time they were coming from the top of the key or from the passer. And so when Caleb spun baseline, there was a guy there. And so just being able to show him where the double team was coming from made a big difference for him, and it really helped him not have any turnovers in the second half.
Last week in Atlanta, Rick Pitino a couple of times during timeout or dead balls would look at a tablet one of his staffers had during the game.
No, I won't do that. But I will lean on the assistant coaches in regards to challenging calls and different stuff like that. But I do look at it at halftime, and I think it's a valuable piece to be able to use.
I think that's been part of the reason that you guys, I mean, it seems like a lot of times you guys have come out halftime just like shot out of a cannon. Would you say
Yeah.
that that's been part of it, just kind of implementing that?
I think it helps. I mean, I wouldn't put it all on an iPad, but I mean, I just, but I think it does help. I really do. I think that's why that is a reason why we watch so much film as a team, because when they see it, it really resonates with them, rather than just telling them that.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Was Elijah